Oh no, it's actually not that heavy. Thank you though. All right, jumping back into this. I need to get this gas tank pulled out and then the rest of this old bed floor pulled out and get the bed unbolted, get it off this old frame. All the wood is taken out. Oop, tripping over stuff. And you can see all of the bracing I have in here. I actually really overbuilt this thing. So this is all, I believe it's 1.5 inch, 1/8 inch wall, square tubing, and it goes, there's a perimeter all the way around the bed, and then like every, I don't know, either foot to like 16 inches, I've got a bar going across. And you can see I used to have bars going across here and here. And then you've got some front to back here. Yeah, there's one front to back there. So it is extremely overbuilt, which also makes it extremely heavy. So I'm gonna cut out some of these when I redo it. Then I'm also going to, you can see better on this one. I'm also gonna cut these strips back out. I had widened the tubs like, I think 4 inches when I originally built the truck, 13 years ago. They don't need to be widened now. I've never had enough tire to fill the back of the wheel well anyways, so I'm gonna cut those back out, bring the tubs back to a normal width, because it's, one, I don't think it'll fit anymore with the Crown Vic rear suspension and stuff. I think it might be too narrow. So I'm gonna bring those back to normal, just re-weld them back up. And then like I had mentioned before, I'm gonna put a steel bed floor back in this thing. Because as you might be able to see in that time lapse, the wood was just deteriorated, and that's the second or third wood bed floor I've had in this thing. They don't hold up for as much as I use it. So that's now just gonna be firewood. But now I need to go through and get all these, some of the screws wouldn't come out. So I just need to go through and knock all these remaining screws off. And then the bed is bolted there and there. And then I think, where's it bolted up front? Oh yeah, right here, and there's one over there. So 4 bolts, and the bed will be ready to come off. Actually, did I get these back ones undone? No, it's still bolted. So let's do that real quick. Okay, so I realized you couldn't really see that all that well earlier with all the sun. So here's the old floor. You can see these channels right here on both sides where I cut, when I dropped the floor, it allowed the frame rail to kind of rise up into this area, and then it kind of continues here, and then this kind of steps down to the original level of the floor, and then this is where I raised it up to. So you can see how the floor has got the real funky step in it, and that's one of those things that if you look back at the very first episode, that I wanted to eliminate and just get a normal floor in here. So now with all the carpet out and the cab gone, you can see kind of the craziness I was dealing with. And like I said before, I built this thing when I was 17. I didn't know what I was really doing. So hey, you build, you learn, make mistakes, and just as long as you learn from them, then you're moving forward. Moving on though, I need to continue cutting this thing up. You know, it's been hard for me to get to this point. I haven't wanted to really cut this up just because of the work I put into it, and there's just a lot of, you know, sentimental, and I know I've already, you know, I'm past the point of no return with cutting the cab up, so I just have to do it. But it does feel weird to cut this frame up, and I've considered selling it, but I've taken so many parts off of it that there's not much in it in value. I'm gonna either save or sell the rear axle. It's a 9-inch 350 gear 31 spline. They're 31 spline Mosier axles. It's a limited slip. I'm gonna take all the exhaust off and save all that stuff. I'm gonna save some of the old wiring and brake lines because they're all fairly new and in good shape that I can use on other projects. And then I need to get this engine pulled out of this frame, all the wiring pulled out, and yeah, that way I can have half my garage back, because I can't really do much since, you know, there's the Hawk as it sits now, all piled with stuff. All this stuff was sitting on here, so I'm doing this constant juggle of moving stuff back and forth. So once I get this all out of here, I'll have so much more room to work in here. So I'm gonna hop to it. All right, guys. So this truck was 3,990 pounds when I weighed it. And I'll show you why. That frame rail is almost a 1/4 inch thick. So they definitely don't make them like they used to, because the frame from the Crown Vic is like less than half that thickness. Granted, it's a box frame, but it's still half the thickness. And when you get up there, it's like a 6 or 7 inch rail, whereas the tallest spot on the Crown Vic is like 4.5. Granted, that's a passenger car, this is a truck, but even trucks nowadays, the frames are not this thick. So that's where this thing gets a lot of its weight, and that's where I'm gonna save a lot of the weight too. So I'm gonna keep cutting. First step's done, no going back. Oh man, this stuff is heavy, and it's still just as thick, but it's even taller up here. Well, I've already freed up a ton of garage space as soon as I drag this stuff out of here. I need to unbolt the bed floor. I need to unbolt the cab floor because it's still bolted to the frame, and get that pulled off of here. Get the column pulled out, all the wiring and all that garbage. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep working my way forward. Here we go. All right, so interesting fact, this is the first time the cab floor, or cab, has ever been off the frame. All the work that I did to this as far as body dropping it and all that, and all the work on the truck, the cab has never been off the frame. I did all the work with the cab sitting on the frame. It's been obviously unbolted and picked up, but it's never been completely off the frame. So Funny enough, in the 14 or 15 years, it's the first time that floor has been like that. A little better look at the bottom of the floor. Again, you can see the channels I cut for where the frame rails ran through. Man, it's not pretty. But like I said, I did all this when I was like 17 years old. There was a lot of things that should have been done differently. I could have used a lot thinner sheet metal. This is like 14 or 12 gauge. It's extremely heavy. The whole floor, all this is like I said, 12 gauge or 14 gauge. It's extremely thick. And there's a lot of like overlaps and stuff that should have been like cleaned up and all that, but that's kind of what I'm addressing now and getting stuff just in a lot better shape. And this should also shed a bunch of weight going from this really heavy floor to the newer Crown Vic. So next I am going to get this exhaust off here, then I'll cut the frame and then get the motor pulled out. I'm gonna keep taking this thing apart. Alright, I'm gonna see if I can't spin this thing around. I already tried once and I can pick it up, so I just don't know if I have room to spin it around here, but I'm gonna try. Whew. That wasn't easy, but I got it. Alright, now I'm going to work on getting this engine unbolted and the fluids drained, so when I'm ready to pull this thing out, I can just plug it straight out. Alright, I got the engine pulled out, and I pulled the Hulk out. Tuck the engine over here because I'm going to swap sides in the shop, but I need to get this exhaust cut apart a little bit because this manifold is actually welded to the pipe. That's why I had to take it off the way I did. So get that manifold cut off of there, and then I need to cut the frame rails off of there a little bit more, disassemble what's left of the air ride, and all this is going to be scrap. Well, that's a wrap on another episode of the Hawk Project. Thank you guys for watching. I'm going to continue to disassemble this thing, but I'm not going to bore you with that. So stay tuned, because on the next episode, we're going to get the frame cut and extend it on the truck and be one step closer to getting this bed put on here and getting the truck looking normal again. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on anything. Drop any comments or questions you have down below and I'm sure to answer them. Have a good day, guys.